TV, Roku TV, and WBPG 102.9 FM radio. These TV and radio networks are all coming out of Boston. Radio and TV that cares about Boston and beyond. This is yours sincerely, Mike D, of the UA7 Gospel Countdown. Tune in and be blessed.
This is Renee Wise, station manager for the Boston Praise Radio and TV network of 30 radio, TV, social media, and internet stations. You can broadcast on our network by just giving me a call, 617-282-0685.
617-282-0685. Thank you, Deacon Renee Wise. That's our station manager here at the Boston Praise Radio and TV Network. Kingdom, greetings and God's richest blessings be multiplied to you and yours. You're tuned in to another segment of Healing Our Land's Live Interactive Broadcast. I'm your host, Pastor Hobbs, here with my co-host in the person of Marvin's Bell Branch.
Hello,
how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. Congratulations. I heard yesterday you did a great job. You and talk about the press conference that happened yesterday.
Yesterday was a youth press conference. I don't remember too much because it was bright early in the morning. I had to get up real early for it. But I had to do a speech.
Wow. And you met the mayor, right?
Yeah, I met the mayor. I was excited for that.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And so you and another young lady were the two speakers out of, so many people who could have been at the Youth for Madison Park Development Corporation. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. I think they were recognizing MPDC, the organization I work for.
Yeah.
That linked us up together. Yeah, they were recognizing them for the great work that they do in the youth workforce development.
That's good stuff, man. Jenny, and it is an incredible program, so I'm glad that they recognize it. We've been so fortunate to have some incredible interns from Madison Park Development Corporation, including yourself, and so congratulations on that, bro.
Thank you. And remember, if anybody's watching this, Success Link opened up their application. So they're hiring a bunch of teens. All they got to do is go to the, I think it's the center near, I forgot the name of that center. The center near Roxbury Crossing?
Is that the DeWitt Center?
No, that's not the DeWitt Center.
Hibernian Hall?
No, it's a teen center.
Okay.
It's on Mission Hill.
Okay. I'll have to find a Mission Hill.
It's near that Catholic church.
Yeah. You're not talking about, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's, is it, oh my goodness, help me, Holy Spirit. What's the name of that church? I know somebody used to have a church, the Greater Love Tabernacle used to have church at that particular place, and I'm trying to recall what it was.
You can look it up.
Yeah, look it up, because we want to, people, why am I drawing a total blank? What is the name of that place? Right across from Roxbury Crossing, right? Right near.
It's around there, yeah.
I'm drawing a total blank. It'll come to us. But while Marvin's is looking that up again, you guys can call into the broadcast at 617-282-0685. Chime in the conversation. You can also join us via www.bostonpraiseradio.tv. We're also on Pastor Bruce Wall's Facebook page, so please.
Yeah, the Tobin,
that's what it is.
Yeah, the Tobin Community Center.
That's what it is. I knew that's what it was. I just
they're gonna do a mass hiring event over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Great. So the Tobin Community Center.
Okay. So if you have a teen, I think it's 16 to like 22 or something.
Okay.
They're hiring.
Wow. Okay.
They can make possibly like $400 to $500 a week for the summer.
Nice. So this is this a resource fair for youth, or is this specifically for Madison Park?
It's for any youth that goes to the Boston Public School.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. The mayor was talking about how she wanted every youth in Boston Public School, if they wanted a job, to have the opportunity to get one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's good stuff. So tell me, how long have you been with Madison Park Development Corporation?
I think about 2 years. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
when I started going to the school that I go now, I had the opportunity to meet Miss Jeannie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I talked about that a little bit in my speech because, you know, she's such an inspirational person. She's such a good person.
She
you know?
really is.
Like in my school, you have to pick 2 internships. So when they told me like, oh, which one do you want to pick? A lot of different places come to present what they have to offer and such. So Miss Jeannie came, and a lot of my other classmates worked for her before, worked with MPDC, and all of them had nothing but nice things to say about her. When I met her, she had a lot of energy, and we got along. And then we sat down, we talked. I told her, yeah, I want to join MPDC. We sat down, we talked about, you know, what would I want to do career-wise. So, yeah, like, you know, we spoke, and like, this year when she was looking, when I needed a new internship, she put me on with you.
Yeah, she's incredible. She has consistently referred us to some wonderful youth, and so when she, in fact, you as well as she told me about you, and so I was excited, and we're loving having you as well as another young man who just started, Marquise, and so we've had some incredible. I mean, nothing but positive I could say about all the youth that have come through Madison Project Development Corporation. So it's a great program. So for those who are looking for interns, right, that's one place you can go is Madison Project Development Corporation with Jenny Matos, but also the resource fair that you're talking about is even broader than just Madison Project Development Corporation, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of different, there was 50 different places that were doing that were hiring teams for just summer positions. So yeah, any career field you want to go into, this is your opportunity to explore them. I still remember my first one.
Which was?
My first one was, man, I didn't read the description. I just wanted a job. So I did not read the description. I'm like, it's a job. If they hire me, I'm going to go. So I went to the interview, and the guy still was, he didn't really tell me what I would be doing. He's just like, hey, do you know the corridor, the Southwest corridor? I think that's what they call it. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what that was, but I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, you know, you just gotta take the bus on Roxbury Crossing, get off over there, and it extends from Roxbury Crossing to Forest Hills. I'm like, yeah, I know those 2 places. And then he's like, yeah. So, you know, we did the interview. I was always well spoken. I was always somebody like that could pass an interview. So of course I passed and everything. And I'm like, okay, good. I got my nice little job. And then I came in, you know, we had to come in early. I came in real early, and I see kids picking up trash and scraping grass off concrete.
Oh boy!
For the entire Southwest corridor. Basically, what they were doing is there's this bike lane that extends from Roxbury Crossing, not Roxbury Crossing, from like basically Roxbury Crossing or near Ruggles.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way down to Forest Hills.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bike lane, and they have a grass. They have like a pavement area. So when grass grows in between the pavement,
right,
they give you this scraping tool, and they're like, "Yeah, go scrape that out. Scrape out the grass." I'm like, so that's the job I gotta do. Man, it's in the summer. The sun is hot. Like, even if you take a shower before going there,
yeah,
when you coming out, you just stink. And they only give us like 2-3 shirts. Man, we was working hard, man.
But did you stick with it?
I started, so I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And craziest part is there was an issue with my payment, so I never got paid.
Oh no!
So when it came time for me to get paid, when they finalized it, that's when my mother tricked me into going to Haiti.
Oh wow! Wow, you went from that to that.
Yeah, so I basically spent my whole summer scraping grass out of concrete, and I'm like, oh man, this sucks. And then my mom's like, yeah, I'm going to Haiti towards the end of the summer for like 3 weeks. And in my head, I'm like, good, I'm finally gonna get my pay. She's gonna be out the house for 3 weeks. This is gonna be awesome. I went to the airport with her, and my stepfather left both of us at the airport, and we went to Haiti for 3 weeks. And my phone didn't even work, so I couldn't even text my manager like, yeah, I'm not doing a no call, no show.
Oh, wow.
I'm just not here. So when I came back, they gave me a nice check, though. They gave me a nice check. I think it was like I think it was like a $2,000 check.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was nice.
So
you appreciated that particular coming back, having been in Haiti.
Yeah. So when I went to Haiti, I didn't know I was gonna go.
Right.
So you probably wonder, like, what clothes did you wear? So the whole time my mom was going there, she kept buying clothes, and the clothes that she would buy, she would be like, "Oh yeah, they're for your uncles in Haiti. You know, you always gotta bring clothes to them." I'm always dissing the clothes, saying, "Man, that big old pants look like something somebody wear in 2005." Like, she didn't like pants that didn't go over the knee. Like, she wanted shorts that went over the knee and stuff, big old shirts. You know, I'm like, man, I'm not wearing none of that. I'm dissing the clothes. I'm like, yeah, keep giving it to them. Yeah, that's the clothes they need. And then one day she even took me shopping, and I think this was like my chance to get the clothes I like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still getting clothes I'm like for my uncles and stuff. So yeah. And then she never got anything in medium or even small because she didn't want me to get the idea those were for me.
Right.
So I went to Haiti, and I'm wearing a bunch of large, extra large clothes, big old pants, and I just look a mess. Nobody believed that I came from America, man.
Wow. So how did that affect you? I mean, we talked a little bit about that offline, but I don't know if we shared that online.
How did it affect me to go to Haiti?
Yeah,
like
and how was that experience, and you know, how did that impact you?
I was angry, but then I also, you know, like, took that opportunity to see people I've never, like, I didn't see since I was like 8 years old. Some of them were surprised I still remember them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them embraced me. They showed me love. But the whole time I'm just like, you know, I felt like the love from some people wasn't genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, they know where you're coming from. They know where you're going after this.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them just really wanted your number so they could, you know, ask you for things. But I definitely made the best out of that situation. I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I learned about the hunger, the heat, the water. I learned about everything, and I was like, I'm gonna make sure I never come back here.
Gave you an appreciation.
Yeah, if I'm gonna come back here, I'm coming back here to vacation. I'm coming back here to say hi. I will not be deported here. I will not be doing anything to cause me to stay here without it being my choice to stay here, you know.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Last broadcast that we had, you shared a lot, and I don't know people who, you know, for folks who were tuned in, every broadcast has been powerful, but I learned a lot about you talking about, this being how you were socialized to be able to keep your feelings in, and we talked a little bit about this.
Yeah.
So I want you to just do a little recap, maybe for those who didn't, and then that we can just continue that conversation that, you know, in context of some of what we just watched in terms of this gentleman. His name is Hassan Supreme, who was actually incarcerated for 33 years, and talked about how he just became in contact with his emotions when he was incarcerated.
Yeah. So, I think Wednesday we spoke about a lot of these things about myself, my mindset and such. And today we were listening to Mr. Hassan and his life story. So I think it's different. It's weird to me because it's like different generations of men, black men, but yet we go through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like at one point in our lives, we really have to drop down the barrier that we've learned to put up, so we could actually grow.
Yes.
And if you're able to do it earlier, you're able to save yourself earlier. And the later it takes you to do it, the more you might have to deal with the consequences of those barriers. So yeah, for me, you know, my story is a bit different. Like, you know, I grew up in Haiti. People say, like, you came here when you was like 8 years old. You can't really say that you grew up in Haiti, but I honestly tell people, like, I grew up in Haiti because I remember so much from Haiti. You know, when I was over there, I didn't really have a father figure. You know, growing up, my mother she gave me up to her sister because she was really young, and she couldn't really take care. She didn't feel like she was able to take care of a young kid, so she gave me up to her sister, her older sister. So I grew up the whole time thinking that my aunt was my mother.
Wow.
So I was like 8 years old. That's when they told me, no, that's not your mother.
Wow.
Oh, your mother is the lady in America that's been sending money to you.
Wow.
She's not your aunt. She's your mother. So it was weird. It was complicated. Yeah.
Sure.
So imagine like you learn who your mother is, and 2 weeks later you're on a plane, and now you have to live with her.
Wow.
So to this day, that's how like our relationship is. You know, I respect her. I love her, but it's not perfect because I met you when I was 8 years old.
Right.
And I still, it's still hard for me to accept.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think for her too, like she didn't have to raise me or be my mother till I was 8 years old. And when she met me, she told me straight up, like, you're the man of the house. You're a man. And she looked at me as I was a man, and I felt like she never looked at me as the way that I was still a child that needed nurturing. You know, and maybe I didn't even want to accept her nurturing because I was already coded to thinking that my aunt was my mother. And yeah, so growing up in Haiti, my aunt, she had her husband, who I thought, you know, was my father because she was my mother, of course.
Right.
And dude was never around. He was always chasing around somebody's daughter or something like that. Like he was always with some young lady, you know, so he never spoke. He just, you know, it was toxic. It was weird. It was backwards. You know, that's my childhood that I remember. Like a dude that only came around when my aunt, which is my actual mother, sent money. That's when he would come around to essentially take some of the money and leave. Whenever there was food, whenever there was groceries, whenever the time was good around tax season and stuff like that. Like that's when this dude was around. Terrible. And when things wasn't good, he was gone. So it was weird. And then at like 7 years old, I found out like that's not really who my father was. And I'm like, then who is my father? And my mother, my actual mother, told me, I don't know who your father is. I'm like, man, how do you not know who you know, who got you pregnant?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I got smacked for saying that.
Oh wow!
but yeah, that was my question. Like,
Yeah,
what do you mean you don't know who
question.
like who? What do you mean you don't know who my father is? But she didn't know who my father was. It's just she didn't want me to have a relationship with him. You know. So yeah. So when I came to America, I met my stepfather, and I think, you know, he was worse than the father that I had in Haiti, because this dude never ever said a word to me to this day. Like I lived with him in the house for like 10 years, and he never said a sentence to me.
Wow.
Never ever, you know, ever spoke to me. And you could tell I'm a talkative person. Like, nope. And you know, when I first came here, you know, I asked him a question. So this all goes back to like pride and stuff too. When I came here, I asked him a question about America's Got Talent that was on. I asked him, you know, like, you know, about the money that these people win and stuff like that. And he answered his daughter, which is my stepsister. When I came here, I met them. They came around the same time I came to America. So he answered his daughter, but he didn't answer me. Wow. I'm like, why are you not answering me? He's like, I'm not your father. Why are you speaking to me? And that's the last full sentence this dude ever said to me. Any chance he got to slight, like to show like, yo, you're not my kid, he took it. And he just didn't like me. And honestly, I feel like he didn't like me because I was an extra bill. Because in Haiti, it's easy to give some like $100 here and there to my mother to send to that kid in Haiti. But in America, we're speaking about American money here. Like, you know, you're not making a lot of money. You got now 4 kids and my mother who doesn't work. All of that is on you. So looking back at it, I'm not going to justify the person he is. Looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, you know, if you don't have like a proper foundation or a good stable mind, I could see how that would make you into somebody that you know,
is not a healthy person.
Not a healthy person. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So that's the type of like role models that I had in my life. Like I had a father figure in my home, but that father figure never spoke to me. And I had my mother who played the role of both my mother and my father, but it wasn't even on the nurturing type of side. It was more on the, you know, I do things for you because I'm your mother and I have to do it. And you're here to help me. And it's like the reason a mule, she would always say this thing, the reason a mule have a kid is to take the load off her back.
Oh wow.
And that's the type of mindset that I grew up with. Like I'm here to help, like, take off the burden off her and everything. So it was really toxic because, you know, I've never met my father. So it's like, in my head, I thought, you know, since my father never did anything for my mother, it was only by me that I had to do everything for her. You know, so yeah, it was crazy. And then I started going to school, and I realized that the male figures that I needed in my life, and I have a lot of uncles, these guys are still toxic, never spoke to me. I have uncles that I haven't said a word to in like 6 years, 9 years, and I see them every single day.
Wow.
It's just, you know, that's that toxicness. That's that like just this masculinity that's not even right.
Right.
You know?
That's my I call it toxic masculinity.
It is, yeah.
People call it machismo, but it's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. So it took for me like to middle school to start, you know, taking in the male role models that I actually have access to, as in like the deans, because I kept getting in trouble all the time. So I was always in the dean office. Might as well talk to the guy. You know,
did they talk to you positive, or did they respect you?
At first, it was always on some disciplinary timing.
Sure.
But I think I'm so thankful that those guys were very intelligent to understand that, you know, I wasn't doing wrong because I was a bad kid. I was doing wrong in a sense of like a cry for help.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I wasn't given any, you know, attention at home. Like, I don't care. Like, if I can make somebody laugh in class, I'm going to do the dumb thing to make somebody laugh in class. And I just kept getting in trouble, and I kept ending up in their office, you know. And those are the men that I started speaking to in middle school. So, like, I went to Tech Boston Academy. You know, people talk ill about the school, but I mean, it's a great school. Like, it's a school that helped me shape into the man that I am today, because I was in a school with black men that were actual leaders in their community, black men who's been working in the education system for like 10 to 15 years. And that did not hold anything against you, and that, like, you could disrespect them today, and they understood that you're not disrespecting them because you're disrespectful. You know, you're a kid, your hormones are all over the place, you know, and like, they will speak to you when you're willing to talk. Like, I played football, and I had the coach that I could always speak to about anything. You know, I could always speak to my dean. I had my principal, Mr. Clary, an amazing person that I think, funny, like, crazy story, as in like the type of male role models I had in my life. You know, we grew up kind of poor. We didn't really have much. My mother never worked, so, you know, we never had much. And I used to always wear like layers of sweaters or jackets to school, because, you know, that's how you keep warm, because I didn't have a coat, or the coat that my mother was able to buy for me, I didn't want to wear that, you know. So I went into school, and I have like 2 jackets on, and Mr. Clary, who was the middle school principal, he seen me, and he's like, "You don't have a coat?" I'm like, "Nah," like, straight up, you know, we got to go through a metal detector to come inside. So he was the one checking our bags and such. And I'm like, "No, I don't have a coat." He just took off the coat that he's wearing and just gave it to me.
Wow.
And it was like a $230, you know, polo coat, all black.
Wow.
I cherish that coat. Like, man, you had no idea, man. Like to me, every time I think about stories like that, I cry, because it's like, yo, this is a white man. Like, this is a brother who, when he joined, like, he would talk passionately about, like, when he joined Tech Boston Academy, until like the school that he want to make it today. Because, you know, when I said to you that we went through metal detectors and they check our bags, I could see the frown in your face, like, yo, you're a kid, why are you going through this? But it was worse. You know, when my sisters and brothers went there, you had to walk with your hands on the wall. You had to wear uniforms. It was like, it was preparing you for prison. They used to pat search you.
Wow.
Like, but kids used to like use that as an excuse to bring actual weapons in, because if the school security is that scared of you, then there must be something to actually be scared of. So yeah, bring something, because if they go into that measure, somebody actually got something here. You know what I mean? So that's a mindset that my brother told me that he had when he went there. As brother, I mean like my stepbrothers and stepsisters. So yeah, like Mr. Clary did such an act of kindness for me. His office was always open for me. If I was going through something and with school, with class and all that, his office was always open. I can go in there, sit there and debrief, and he would always give me good advice. And that was my middle school. Like that was the middle school that helped me, you know, actually have male figures in my life to tell me like, hey, like you don't got to go look for like a role model or mentor in the streets, because a lot of these people are still immature at like 50, 60 years old, 40 years old. They're still immature, and they'll have you doing things that's only going to destroy your life. You know, focus on education, focus on school, go to college, get a degree. You know, I heard them, but I've always knew college wasn't for me. And in my head, when I heard the focus on school and focus on college and stuff like that, I started to dismiss a lot of the things they had to say, because I'm like, why are you telling me the norm? Like, there's no other route other than college and in school. Like, there had to be another route. Like, I want to be unique. You know what I mean? But ultimately, they were telling me the advice they knew that worked. You know.
So how did that? So being that wasn't for you, you felt that wasn't for you because you just didn't, you know, because school wasn't something that.
I knew college wasn't for me because I never learned how to read or write till I was 8 years old.
Okay.
Never learned how to read or write, because the money my mother would send for me to go to school, my aunt would use it for the other 8 kids that she had to take care of. She had like 6 kids on her own. And it was such a big community. Like, if you get some money in, everyone else is just as poor as you. You know, when you make food, like, I'm talking, there's 30 plastic containers to put food in. So, and after that, you give kids, like, plastic containers to go distribute out to the neighborhood. Yeah. You got to feed everybody. Like, your family is the whole entire neighborhood. Yeah. It's an actual village. Yeah. Like, the person across from you, the person away from you, the person across the river, that's all family. Yeah. Like, growing up in Haiti, you could run around, you know, and you're still in your home. Yeah. So, yeah, like that's a thing. Like that's a mindset that I grew up with, you know.
So that's the mindset there in Haiti.
Yeah.
But when you came here, that's not the same mindset.
It wasn't the same mindset. So, yeah, it was a bit different, you know.
But yeah, it seems like you like though that's not the mindset, and things are more expensive here and so forth and so on, and though that found even with the community being there, and you came here, how old were you?
I was like 8.
So you were 8. So you didn't learn any of those, like you said, the basic in terms of reading or writing in Haiti.
Yeah. So I never learned. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I never learned how to read or write. So when I came here, I had to learn all of that. My mother taught me the basics of like how to read, how to write, you know, but she only taught me the basics because she couldn't teach it to me in English because she don't speak English. Oh. So, you know, when I eventually started going to school, my first time stepping into school was 3rd grade. And I'm in this school, this ESL class, and I learned English pretty fast. So it took me like 1 month to learn English. I learned how to write my name. I learned how to write. But I still have like a toxic relationship with writing so bad. Like, like when I write, it's almost, you can't read it because I never learned the fundamentals. You know, when they give you the books where you got to trace over, I never had to do that because I went straight into starting to write sentences in 3rd grade. Wow. And I would just look at like other sentences and try to mimic the words. So I never did the tracing over or nothing.
And is it because you didn't get the education in Haiti because that's something that is just you have to have money to have, or because it's just something that
every time my mother sent the money,
you did
it
say
was
that.
Split like 100,000 different ways.
And that wasn't something like here public education is something, so you have to pay for basic education.
You got to pay for it. And a lot of humanitarian group will come and like build up a school, but you gotta think too. The earthquake happened, a lot of those schools were broken. And after the earthquake, nobody wanted to go to school because any day now the roof might just collapse on your kid. You don't want that. So nobody sent their kids to school. There was no air conditioning in schools. Schools were hot. It was terrible. There was still dead bodies all over the place, still buildings collapsing. So yeah, it was crazy. And then, you know, a lot of crimes. That's when the crime rate started going up towards the roof. So yeah, nobody went to school. So when I came here, you know, they knew that I was gonna eventually come to America. So they didn't even bother because they're like, everything you learn here, you're gonna have to relearn it anyways. So I had such a fresh start, learning how to read, learning how to write, learning everything that I only know how to do these things in English.
In English.
Yeah. So the reason I didn't ever want to go to college is, you know, I didn't know any of these things. So when the teacher would give me homework, I would take it home, and you know, my mom would tell me, "Yo, go ask your stepdad like to help you." And this dude don't speak to me.
Wow.
So how can he help me if he don't speak to me?
Right.
I would just leave the homework on his desk, and he would do it.
Oh, he would just do it.
He would just do it.
Okay.
Because he didn't want to talk to me and show me how to do it. So he would just do it, and then I would just pick it up, and that's it.
Wow.
So that's how I did homework till I was like in, say, fourth grade. And in fourth grade, he kicked me out when I went to the shelter. So I was in the shelter with me and my mother because he kicked me out, and my mother's like, you know, you kicked my son out. Like, where is he gonna go alone?
Yeah.
Oh, go make him live with his grandma. No, like my mother was like, my mom is not gonna raise a second child for me. You know, like she already raised me. She don't gotta raise my child too. And so my mother went to the shelter system, and when we were over there, when we get homework, it was different. I had to start doing it by myself now, but I still didn't like have a lot of those foundations of actually applying myself after school to do homework, because I had to clean, I had to help my mom cook, I had to help around with the shelter. I wanted to run around in the hallway with the other shelter kids, you know. So I never had those fundamentals. And when we got out the shelter, same thing. When we started going to middle school, I understood that I never had that fundamental of like applying myself alone. When you're in college, that's all you're doing.
Yes.
You're essentially, the teacher is teaching you the basics and telling you go learn the rest.
Yeah.
And if you've never had that fundamental, you taking out a loan to go to college is you taking a bet as saying like, I can do this. That's a bet. You're willing to make a $40,000 a year bet that you're able to do something you've never done before.
Facts.
And I've never heard anything that, like, I've never had a college degree that interested me enough to cash out $40,000. Like, just never made sense to me. I'm like, there has to be other career fields, you know. I could make my own lane or something. And even if it's free, there's still something to it. You still got to maintain a high GPA. I never really had like a high GPA. I mean, nowadays that I went back to school, I do. But before, I never had like a high GPA because I never really applied myself in school. And
you didn't have the fundamentals, as you said, in the developmental years. So that makes perfect sense. And so that makes sense. So not thinking you could excel in because of all those things. And so in terms of alternatives to that, so were you able to talk to, was anybody, because I heard you say some of the counselors were saying college, and I hear that because quite candidly, I was not one who, you know, who excelled in school, right? Yeah. And so I was grateful that I went to a vocational technical high school because I was able to learn some trades and do things with my hands and do things that, you know, that I enjoyed doing or was interested in learning. You know, my parents taught me how to do whatever you do is unto God. We had chores and those kind of things. So I would do stuff like to cut neighbor's grass or, you know, clean out. I would do things that I could do to make money to be able to get things that I wanted that they weren't gonna be able to, because I came from a big family with 7 sisters and 3 brothers, and you know that's hard to provide for all of them. So we had basic things, but if you wanted, you know, that clothes that were not just what they gave you, then you had to buy that yourself. Yeah. So I understand what you're talking about, but so were you able to? I know when we've talked offline, you talked about you ultimately may want to do HVAC. So
Yeah.
is that something? How did anybody talk to you about trades or other ways that you could make a living that's not college?
So my older sister actually went to the vocational school. So she went to Madison Park. So she kept telling me like, yo, I don't think normal school is for you. You should apply to Madison Park. But me and my older sister, we were completely different people. She was like, head to the book type of person, very focused on school, all A's, all B's. She had a C, she started crying. And I was definitely not that person. So I knew if I went to Madison, I would not be able to keep my head in the books.
Oh, because even though it's a trade school, there's still the academic portion of it.
They have like 1 year, 1 month, 1 week of trade,
Yes.
and 1 week of school.
Yeah.
But at the time, or even to this day, the school is just, it's a hectic school. Like, there's a lot of things that go on over there. If you're not really to yourself and worried about why you're here, a lot of people don't get a chance to graduate. A lot of people get dragged into other things. And it was so far away from home compared to like Tech. Like Tech was around the corner. I just walked, to Dorchester High School. Madison Park you had to take the 22. And mind you, you still had to get to school at 7:30 in the morning or 8 in the morning. What time am I taking that 22? At 6:30? Nowadays I do it, but I was like in 9th grade. Like I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a big sacrifice then. So you ended up going to the Tech, and then from there you ended up going to
Job Corps.
Job Corps. Talk about that, because you talked about it a little bit before, but again, for those who wasn't tuned in, so
that's when I started hearing about like an alternative to like vocational and stuff like that. Like, oh, why don't you just go to Job Corps? It's a vocational school where it's abroad. You stay there. I'm like, yeah, I think about it. I signed up and everything. I ended up going, but I didn't like it because I was secluded. I was to myself. I was forced to start thinking about things I didn't want to think about. I was just alone. I felt deserted. I didn't have no friends. I didn't have nothing. Before I went there, I turned off, like, my phone turned off. So, because, I didn't pay it. And I deleted social media apps because I'm like, those are the things that kept me distracted in school. I'm not going to come here and have the same distractions. And then I was just forced to think about things in my own head and stuff like that. And that nearly drove me crazy, man. Like, I didn't want to do that. I don't think I was ready for that yet. So, yeah, eventually I came back home after 7 months of just trying to do Job Corps. I went there for computer networking. And one thing about over there, like once you get there and you get to your career, like it's straight up hands-on. Like you're going to be doing something that you would be doing in your career. Like since the moment I stepped into my career class, I was already working on computer networking. If you go there for carpentry, the moment you step into your career class, you're already cutting wood, like right away. And I just didn't like computer networking, man. You're sitting all day behind a computer and your eye hurt. Like I wanted to do something where, you interact with people at least. And they wasn't trying to let me switch. And I didn't even want to be there. It was cold. It was terrible. It wasn't my program. It wasn't for me.
And culture, I'm sure, like, because, you're living in Boston, which is, predominantly urban and people of color. To Maine, that's suburban.
In the middle of a military base near Canada. Man, it wasn't even suburban. It was just like you're in a military base. Military bases are very isolated.
Right.
So it was very isolated. And the only community you had was the people there. And it was pretty small. There was like about 120 kids. The place could hold like 300 kids. By kids, I mean like 20-year-olds. The youngest is 16. The oldest is like 24, 25, or 20, 23. So, yeah, it was a program like that. But to me, one thing too I noticed was like nobody really had like urgency. The people that had urgency had already left by the time I got there. So everybody that was left, they're like, yeah, I've been here for like 2 years. And I'm like, okay, how far along are you in your career track to graduate? Oh, I got like 6 months left. Man, 6 months went by. This dude's still saying he has 6 months left. I'm like, man, you don't want to graduate. Some people get so comfortable with the free food, free shelter, free everything. They don't want to graduate, man. Like they want to stay there.
Become what people call institutionalized.
Yeah, they were free riding.
Free riding. Okay.
Yeah, they became institutionalized with Job Corps. Like they like the comfort because your day to day don't change. You wake up at a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
You go to your classes. You do this and that. You have your weekends off. You're at the teen center. You can go around in the community sometimes. Like it's just that's that. And for me, I was so isolated. I never really wanted to go outside. I never wanted to go off the center. I stopped really going to the teen room and team centers and stuff like that. I was just in my room because I started thinking about things I didn't want to think about. I started remembering things I never remembered before, and I was just there facing those things.
That brings us. We had talked about full circle about feelings, and we were talking about, unfortunately, Brother Hassan Supreme talked about it wasn't how he's here. He was young when he was turned on to, when he was kicked out. I think he said, what was it, 13?
13, yeah.
13 talk about what you remember about the story and the parallels of that, because you were, how old?
17 when I went over there.
Yeah.
So Brother Hassan was speaking how, like, when he was 13, his father told him, if you want to do what you want to do, just don't do it under my roof. And he said to his father, like, he said it to himself as in, like, oh yeah, this is my opportunity to get out of here.
Yes.
And then he joined into a drug organization and became a lieutenant.
Yeah.
At like 13 years old. That's crazy, man. Like, but for me, when I had left, like, I went over there, I thought, I'm done. I don't got to be in my mother's house anymore. When I'm out of Job Corps, I want to live on my own and all this and all that. But I wasn't ready. Even if I did finish my trade and I did get my high school diploma over there, I would have been out. I still wouldn't be ready. Like, what would I do when I get out? Like, I don't even know where I would have stayed or anything. So I came back home because, I left with the mindset of like, I'm escaping Boston. I'm escaping all the things I've heard about what happens to young men who grow up in the city, who don't finish high school and stuff like that. I came back because this is really where I'm comfortable. And I came back on April 1st, which was a terrible idea.
Wow.
Because my mother thought it was an April Fool's joke when I told her I was outside.
Wow.
And I'm like, no, I'm genuinely outside. Like, she's like, yeah, I don't believe you. I'm like, if you don't believe me, at least look out the window, like, open the door or something. She's like, don't even waste my time. I'm not looking out no window. You left my house. I'm like, no, you kicked me out. She's like, no, you left my house. You did this and that. Don't come back. I'm like, I'm outside. Look out the window. I'm ringing the bell. Something like, it's me. I'm outside. She's like, now you probably have your friend come and ring my bell and stuff like that. Man, I call my friends. I'm like, yo, I'm back in Boston. Like, yo, my mom is tripping. So I didn't really press the issue because I was like, okay, this is my opportunity to sleep outside a little bit or whatever. So I started hitting up my friends like, yo, bro, I'm back in Boston. Can I come sleep at your house? Man, the excuses and excuses and excuses. So then I started realizing, what if I was actually homeless?
Yeah.
Like, yo, would these guys look out for me? Man, I slept in the basement. I broke into the basement and I slept there. It was so cold.
Oh, man.
I woke up the next morning at like 7 a.m, man. I rung the bell again. I'm like, it's not April Fool's no more. Let me in this house.
Did she let you?
Yeah, she let me in. We had a disagreements about it, but I realized it was cheaper to stay there.
Yeah, than to be on your own.
Exactly. And there's this program called Future Chefs. I did it before I went to Job Corps. Okay. And I had visited them again, and their founder, Miss Tony, she sat down with me and had like a real conversation with me about like, okay, you're back. Like, what are you gonna do? I started telling her about these jobs I could do and stuff like that. She's like, no, you're a young black man. Like, go get your degree. I'm like, I can get my GED. She's like, no, like, get a high school diploma. You're intelligent enough to do that. And I was like, where do I even go? Like, I don't want to go back to tech. Like, I felt like a disappointment. And she told me, yeah, then apply to Boston Day and Evening. And I went to Boston Day and Evening. She put me in contact with somebody called with a dude called Freeman. He's one of the teachers over there,
Mm-hmm.
and I went there and we sat down. We had like a conversation the way we have in conversations, and I'm like, oh yeah, this works for me. I can come here. This is also a place with mentors, with men that could like, you know, help me and nurture my mind in a way that would be healthy.
Wow. And so, that's been a good experience.
Yeah, at first I didn't want to take it for what it was, because, you know, like I said, I had friends that was telling me things that like that was kind of making fun of me for being in school and such, and I was disappointed at myself that I was 18. I was back in high school. I went when I wanted to go. I would go to school 50% of the time, literally 50% of the time. Like I would come for one day and don't come the next day.
Mm-hmm.
My absent percentage said 50%.
Mm-hmm.
They were ready to kick me out because they realized I didn't take things serious. And and then I met my mentor, and I started going to school, and I changed my mindset towards school.
And that was Tulloch.
Yeah, I met my mentor, Mr. Tulloch.
And that made the difference when he was there to support you.
Yeah.
And change your perspective and take advantage of that. And from that,
so it's different when you know you have somebody that's actually rooting for you.
Yeah.
Somebody that just gave you, like, for me when I met him, it was so weird to me, because it's like no one had ever given me unconditional love and expected nothing from it, because I had nothing to offer. You know, I've always grown up with that mentality of like, if somebody give you something, they want something back.
Right.
Even my own parent, it was that way. Like, I felt like my mother like gave me love and was there for me, or like gave me food, or gave me a home and a place to stay, with the hope of like when I get older I'd make it, and I'm gonna take care of her as a adult, you know, like as an old lady or whatever. So because she would always say like, oh, that's why the mule had the kids, to take the load off their back and stuff like that. So in my head I kept thinking, I'm only here to be of assistant, or like to take off her burden. And so it wasn't really love, was it? Because I'm serving a purpose here. You know what I mean? So when you meet somebody to the point where like he's like, no, like that's not what real love is. You know, I tried to talk to some of my Haitian friends, like everybody that I knew, that basically the relationship they had with their parents. Like, you're here to get money, to be the generation that makes it out of poverty, and to take care of us when we retire. And we're gonna help you, we're gonna take care of you, but ultimately that's what we need from you.
Wow.
So when you meet somebody that didn't expect anything from you, that genuinely just said to you like he felt like God God wanted him to be in your life, and really opened up his home to me, opened up, you know, gave me a lot of knowledge about myself and about the world. Somebody to this day I can call right now, and I would have a place to stay, and I have a meal to eat. Somebody that would just feed me, you know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because he's also an elder at a church. So yeah, it was different, you know. And I had somebody that gave me so much, and I asked him straight up like, yo, what do you want back from me? He was like, graduate high school, so let's start with that. I went back to school, and I was like, yo, like, I took school serious, student of the month type of thing, you know, just
a turnaround,
like a 3.9 GPA automatically, and I started going to school. Like, you know, my attendance is not 100%, but it's way better. 70-80% attendance, and I go to school and I apply myself, and knowing that I would actually get out of there. And nowadays it just disappoints me to know, like, if I actually did what I was supposed to do from day one, I would have graduated way sooner. But I didn't.
But I mean, life's lessons learned, right? I mean, the truth of the matter is, you said you're just 20 years young, Marvin, right? You're 20 years young. As I said, fast forward, the brother Hassan Supreme, right? Again, he 33 years that he spent in prison, right? And to your point, that's more than you've been on this planet Earth, right? And he said that he didn't even start to come into contact with his feelings until he was incarcerated and had to sit in that box, as he calls it, right? So all those, you know, not as you talked about, you started to come into contact with some of those emotions when you were in Maine. Right. He had to wait till he came, and even then, still, that was just like the melting and you said you weren't even ready for that, right? And so now here you are some years later, not a whole lot of years later, and there's already been a turnaround. So you're changing the trajectory in your life, that you don't have to be in prison for 33 years, right? Or to be incarcerated at that age to start to be in 5 years. He said that whole time that he was incarcerated, he started to, this man took someone's life. You talked about the anger, the rage, right? And how that manifested, because you can't just stifle those feelings. No human being can do that, man or woman.
Yeah.
Can just suppress that forever before it explodes.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's profound. It's profound. Every time I hear other people's stories and other people's like come to life moment, you know, and other men, especially black men, and just it's profound. I think for me, I still have a lot more growing. I need to do a lot more maturing that I need to do. But every time you hear somebody speak about like their moment and the person that they become and the person that they'll continue to be, man, it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. You know, where nobody can do this by themselves, right?
True.
I mean, we're meant to do this in community, right? And particularly, as you said, it's for black men, right? And for me, it really it moves me. And again, I thank God for Jeannie and for her connecting us, because, you know, I have mentors, right, that pour into my life. And I've had, you know, mentors who have poured into my life, starting with my father. You know, not perfect. No one's perfect. But one of the things he connected me to first and foremost was a relationship with God. And I keep telling you that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Amen,
the thing, that no matter what has happened in my life, he's connected me to my eternal Father that's perfect and that does love me unconditionally, even in ways that he had limited capacity to be able to help me. So you fumble, you stumble, you make mistakes, but you can forgive yourself, you can forgive other people, and your source is God, who then gives you resources, right? And so I'm grateful that that's the most valuable thing my father could have ever given me. The Bible says, raise up your children in the way that they should go, which is the word of God, which is about righteousness, respecting God and people. That's how you respect God, because the Bible says no man has seen God because he's a spirit. You demonstrate how much you love God by how much you respect your brother or your sister. And that's all humanity, right? He talked a little bit before, Brother Hassan talked about this notion of taking shorts, right?
Yeah.
You know, and we live in a society now, you see young folks, you see older folks, particularly men, again, who have this, again, I call it toxic masculinity, right? That, you know, everybody wants to be bigger, badder, meaner, mugging than the next one, and you don't know me, and all this other kind of stuff. And it's just like, you know, first of all, it's unhealthy for you. Mm-hmm. And there's always somebody bigger, badder than you.
Of course.
Right? So it's just like, you know, it takes a much more strength for a person to be able to know who they are and don't feel like you got to project anything, right, to prove anything to anybody, but to have self-control. That takes much more courage than to be, you know, all this, you know, and killing somebody or rationing everybody. Like, that doesn't take that. That doesn't mean you're a man. It really means you're pretty emotionally unstable.
Yeah.
And the consequences of it could be
life imprisonment
or death,
especially death. I honestly think anybody given a life imprisonment is death.
It really is.
I think prison is a coffin for the living. It's a graveyard for the living, man.
You know, it's interesting to say that, because really the people who are able to, like Hassan and some folks who actually are, some who are able to, and another brother who I interviewed, his name was Nicholas, who again he was brought up into a lifestyle of crime from his family. Mother was a prostitute, dad was a pimp, right? So introduced into a lifestyle of crime, but it was incarceration that he got a Bible, that he got revelation from God, and that was his epiphany for him to be able to change the trajectory of his life. So for most people, you're right, but there are some people who that's something that actually saves their life, because the way that they're going out here, right, they maybe have killed people, they maybe are going to be killed, but they're imprisoned in their mind, even though they're free. And it's sometimes some people, it takes them to be in that situation for them to sit down and to come to terms with yourself, and to be able to, and God has a way of being able to introduce you. Again, it was a Bible, and we got 2 minutes.
Oh, man.
The time goes so fast, brother. This always happens. So I'm gonna give you the 2 minutes, and I'm gonna actually see if we got anybody who's actually been communicating. But whatever you want to say, brother.
Yeah, today was all like always, just a good day of speaking about life and my choices, to being the man that I am today, and to continue growing to be the man that I want to be in the future. And also just have you as like a mentor, and we speak about this, about how different generations and different people ultimately go through this same thing. Yeah. And I'm just so thankful that I have that opportunity to be on here. We could speak about this together.
Thank you. I'm grateful too, Marvin. It's a privilege. It's an honor, and I'm proud of you, bro, and humbled to know you. And we teach each other.
Of course, that's the best part. That's the best part.
That's the wonderful thing about it, man. So again.